Genies before?
No, never. I wouldn't, for I killed my mother, because I had no reason to. And then I think we had 1 or 2 nominations for Heartbeats, but I was shooting.
Well, you had trouble the funding bodies weren't kind to you for I Killed My Mother, right?
Yeah, I can tell you about that if you want.
Yeah.
But it's Are you filming right now? Has it started? Has it started? No? Yes?
Has it?
I don't know. I don't know. You should tell me.
Let's just go forward assuming
I'm going to be like super different. I'm going to change and become someone else. No, I'm not. But no, the funding was uneasy with I Killed My Mother because I had not directed anything before and they didn't know me and I assume that's logical that they would not finance a movie up to like $2 million. No, it was 2.4 the first budget, which is way too high for such a little film. And they didn't know me, and but they also didn't think the script was good. Nobody did, to be frank.
But nothing changed when it got made, right? Like in the script?
No.
So then other people thought it was good?
Yeah, actors and what do you mean afterwards or when they were actors left the script and people around me, and then when I was wondering if they were just being nice, but I also thought that it was a matter of seeing it, and I knew what I wanted very precisely, and I explained my vision to the funding agencies, but. And it was a nice pitch. It was a nice conversation, like 5 or 6 or 7 people around the table, and all, they're asking questions and you're giving answers and you're trying to sell whatever film you're defending. It was anyway.
But then once it gets into Cannes, the tune changes.
Telefilm felt bad, I think. I was not, I decided not to play that sort of asshole thing and be like, well, guess who's in Cannes now? I thought it was just, they read tons and tons of scripts and they don't have money, literally no money. And they have to make safe bets. So I not resent anything or anyone for that.
It's interesting, though, that during that film, you're writing, or you have the idea for Laurence.
Yeah.
And it must have seemed like the budget for that would have been much larger because of it's a period piece. So
what is your question exactly?
I didn't get to it.
I'm sorry.
So you're making a film where it's your first film. You're having some difficulty getting some funding for it. Meanwhile, you've also got this idea germinating for something that's much more ambitious.
Well, to be honest, I had the idea for Laurence when we were already shooting I Killed My Mother. So I did have the fund. Well, it was no state funds. It was my own money, actually, and some love money that I had gathered from my father, my family, people I had worked with in the industry of dubbing dubbing movies. I've been dubbing movies forever since I've been. Like,
you do the dubbing, like
yeah,
vocally,
as an actor
yeah.
voice. Like I'm the French voice of a lot of actors since I'm 8, and so I had some money from that, and I worked with people from that industry, and they one of my friends, who's Michelle Pfeiffer's voice, I think, yeah, called everybody and said he's making his first film. Could you throw in some cash, just a little something, just to, and I gathered like this, 25 grand.
Whose voice were you?
Whose voice am I?
What's the hit list?
Well, Taylor Lautner in all of his films. Rupert Grint in Harry Potter.
Do you tell people you were a part of Harry Potter?
I don't usually introduce myself. I am Xavier Dolan's Rupert Grint's voice in Harry Potter. But yeah, when people ask, I'm actually proud of it. It's a lot of fun to be dubbing. It's a great way to keep up with acting when no one's employing you. Sad face. Yeah, it's. I'm not saying this in any sort of bitter way, but it was the only contact I had with acting for many years.
So you're working on Laurence at that point. What was the approach that you were taking to the subject matter? Like, one question that always comes up to me when I think about films like this is kind of how you deal with representation when you're kind of writing for a character that's so different than your own experience. Like, what challenges come with that?
Challenges.
Or opportunities.
Well, you mean, how would I do how would I do research, or how would I write a character like Laurence when I had very little to do with him? Okay. Well, there's always things you can relate to in people. Laurence is different, and I always felt different. Not that different, not like, but just a little different. So that is something you can hold on to and try to understand, when people look at you, when people ask you too many questions, or when they're being, intrusive. There are a couple of things that we had in common. And then the rest is, using your imagination and seeking your friend's advice and counsel, and listening to them, whether they're, when they're saying that this is bad, or this is wrong, or this is, and then just trying to do things honestly. It's not that hard to imagine what it would be like for a man who's a teacher and who's very much in love with his girlfriend, boyfriend. What does, I basically relied on my very, very close friendship with girlfriends to imagine what you don't have to. It's stupid. You don't have to be heterosexual to understand what a heterosexual relationship is like. It's so yeah, I based myself upon those friendships that I had with girlfriends. Well, you know what I'm saying, fag hags. So
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yes, well, they're fag hags. Let's call people what they are. Yeah, we have these moments, and we have this intimacy, and we've when they come home, they always sleep with me, although we do not have sex. So I could imagine what it, it's not unimaginable for me to like, oh, this character is heterosexual. I don't think I can write that script. I'm going to need someone else. It's, and seeing things for older people in a script, they just have an entire life behind them, life full of experiences and surprises and bliss and sad moments, and you just have to try to. Thank you. Just have to try to imagine what it's like. Does that answer your question, or is it like confused?
No, it makes sense, but it made me think of something that stood out to me about the Laurence character, is that he's a teacher, and that seemed like it was significant. You mentioned it like right off the bat. I'm wondering what that position meant for that character. Like teaching French literature, right? Like Céline and Flaubert.
Well, I wanted him to be in the arts without being annoying, so he couldn't be a painter. Sorry. No, actually. But I wanted him to be in an environment that's pretty, in a public environment, public functioning environment. So when you teach in Cégep in Quebec, you are, it can be private, but normally you are ruled by state. So I wanted him to be in that environment, and I wanted him to be with perhaps more conventional people in order to eventually, so that his choices would collide with their values and their beliefs at some point. And so that was the teacher thing. But then teaching French and literature, and it's just, I don't know.
There's an interesting relationship in
Could have been Baker, but it would have been a different story.